other social media forum and you're able to ask questions, I definitely want you to communicate with us because we have an awesome message here. And I love her banner behind us. For those of you all can see it on Skype, it says achievable greatness to inspire others. So tonight she's is here to inspire you to have a better relationship, your mother-daughter relationship. So that's our discussion. So if you all are here, if y'all want to hashtag mother-daughter, if y'all want to hashtag healthy relationships, y'all want to hashtag mommy me, that is what we're talking about. Mommy and me. And I know a lot of people think that's a little kid singing mommy and me, but we always have that little girl in us who are seeking out that best relationship with our mothers because we need to have that grasp on how to be a woman ourselves, on how to be a mother. So it's those steps that we set. So, Miss Danielle, of course I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask you 3 questions all in one. I'm going to ask you the why and the what is it that is mommy and me, how did it come about, and what is it that you do to improve that mommy and me relationship.
Well, first, I want to say thank you for having me on the show today. It's a blessing to be here, to see you interact with your mother and your grandmother. It actually warms my spirit. I also have 4 generations in my family. They're still living, breathing, talking, walking, and I know that that's a blessing. Yes. So it's good to see the interactions between you and your family. And thank you again for having me here. To answer your question, first I'll start off with my why. And my why is actually my daughter. She played a significant role in my ability to transition from a dark place to a happy place, to an empowered place, to a place where I'm a warrior. And my story, if you hear a little bit about my story, I was a teen parent. I suffered sexual abuse, and during that time, I was depressed, and I didn't really have a lot where I felt like life was worth living for. And then I got pregnant with my daughter, and she was my hope. And I wanted to do things better for her. So I said, I'm going to get myself together, and I'm going to be a good mother to my daughter because I want her to see that there's a better life than what I had. So I want to show her something different. And so she empowered me to get my education and to transition from just being a low-income housing teen parent to a college-educated person who owns a business, who can raise 2 kids, who can go out and empower other young people. So part of my why is immersed in my personal journey of womanhood, loving on my mama, learning from her, gaining information from her, from both her positive things that she did and then some of the things that were challenging for her. I learned through all of her experiences. I took those experiences and I tried to be a better parent. And I also wanted to show my daughter that you don't necessarily have to be a superwoman either.
Yeah.
Because we got to talk about that tonight and how we think we're supposed to do it all. And that's the wrong approach. And I had to learn it the hard way. It took a lot of things to happen to me for me to understand the importance of balance and the importance of having a support system and understanding the village approach, where it takes a total village to raise a person. So you need mom, you need dad, or you need mom and dad figures, like you mentioned earlier in the show. You need grandparents, you need aunties, you need cousins, you need pastors, you need all these different people to help in that village. And that was a lesson that I learned that I teach to other young people. So when we talk about Mom and Me and that program was birthed from my experiences, my personal experiences raising a teenage daughter, and my over 10 years experience. And yes, I know I might not look old enough, but for 10 years, I can't believe it, I've been working with young people in various different capacities, as a high school teacher, as a vocational counselor, as a mental health support specialist, and then as a life coach. I provided skill-based support to young women and young men, and I saw that most of the population that comes to me are parents who are struggling with their teenage daughters, and the most issue I see is between mom and teenage daughter. There's some breakdown there, and when that breakdown happens, then there's a whole lot of other issues within the house. There's usually problems with mom and dad because teenage daughter and attitude, and maybe other issues with siblings as well. So I thought about collectively the journey I've had working with the population, and I created a program that touches on all the issues that we touch. Because in the foundation of fixing the relationship is communication.
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys communicating to each other? And what does she hear when you talk to her? And what is her reply when she's talking to you? And are you listening to what she has to say? And we really break down that communication, and we make sure that young people understand the importance of the relationship with the mother or mother figure, and how that should be your go-to person when you have issues about puberty, when you have issues about body image, when you are having problems with boys and relationships. You need to be able to talk to mama about that, because mom's going to give you the best advice. And so we help to build that bridge and pull young people back to their parents so that they are going to both mom and dad. But we really want to focus on the mom relationship, because you learn so much from your mother about your body, about the things your body's going through. And you got to be able to talk openly with mom about those things. So we definitely focus on those issues, and we address a lot of the other issues that teenagers deal with now: technology, social media, this new age generation. I wanted to come in a way that they could listen from me. I talk in a language they understand. I listen to the same music they listen to, so we connect, and the program connects with the young person. So I'm not talking at them. I'm not talking as a dictator who knows everything. I talk to them on their level. I use words that they understand, but I still give them wisdom and guidance in the approach that we use. And it's not about parenting, because I don't parent. I don't tell people how to parent their kids. What I do is encourage them to open the dialogue. So you are clear on your mother's expectations, but you also are comfortable with talking to mom, and you both can build a stronger relationship together.
Yeah.
So that's the mom and me. That's a little bit about my why. Did I miss any of the questions?
No, but you hit on some really great things. I like the clear expectations and a comfortable place, because as a mother, I think a lot of times, especially in this society, what you hit on was about teen mothers. A lot of times we try to become our daughter's friends. We become their hanging partner, their buddy, and then we lose that level of boundaries and expectations, like you say, that should be clear in that communication. Yeah, your daughter becomes so comfortable with you that she loses that level of expectation and respect at the same time. So we gotta keep. See, my grandma said, yeah. So we know from the wisdom that level of respect has to be kept, because as the age dynamics change, and like you said, as a teenage mother, sometimes we're not ready to be a parent. So then you change that dynamics of your relationship, and it don't become mommy and me, it becomes sister and me, or girlfriend and me. So we got to make sure that we're keeping those dynamics clear, and don't be afraid that if you're doing it wrong, that you seek out that help. And that's why I love that program that you have, Mommy and Me, because it's nowhere you're saying, okay, that you're wrong. I'm just trying to get you to dialogue about it so you can have the best relationship and the healthiest relationship for the two of you. So, and then I like the village approach. You're not saying, okay, you need to be isolated, just the two of you all. You're saying, yes, I don't have to juggle everything, I don't have to do anything, but I do need to find that village that will help me support in the direction that I'm trying to go in. Because everybody that's here, that's a parent, definitely wants you to know that it is no perfect way to parent. No perfect way to parent. But there is a prescribed way to have open dialogue, open communication, and that's what you're getting from Mommy and Me to help you walk on that path, to help you open up the doors to some places that you might have had phobias talking about, or trying to figure out how to open up that conversation, and not leave it to technology to educate. We depend on Google. Google this, go look it up, go find it out. I can promise you Google is not right about everything. So let us not depend on Google world to... I don't, not half of the things, because it tells you about all the things you shouldn't do when you become a new parent, and then your parent is telling you something, and you be like, but Google says, okay, well, I've already raised some kids, maybe I'm a little bit more experienced than Google. So that's one of the things. So now you told us what Mommy and me is.
But you know what, even in raising a kid, if you have, like I had 3 daughters, and they were all different. So the approach that I used for the first one didn't work for the second, and the one that I used for the first 2 didn't work for the third. So you have to reinvent your parenting communications and the way you deal with each child individual, because they're all individuals.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And I have a twin sister who we are night and day different. And my mom will tell you she had to do things differently between me and my sister just because we had different personalities. The things that she could use as a punishment for me wouldn't necessarily be a punishment to my sister. So you tell me go and read a book, I'd be like, man, but my sister would be like, yes, I get to go read a book. So you really gotta think those things through when you're working with young people. And I really like to explain, like, the course is really equipped to help the young person gain skills, period. It's not the parent, because parenting is a cultural thing. We all parent differently in different cultures, and we all have different expectations, different rules. So I studied a lot of years in adolescent parenting, and I did not want to create a course where I'm telling someone how to raise their child, because it's really based on your experience, based on your child. There are a lot of other little things in place. They could have mental illness, and that could also play a role in how you have to parent them. So I did not want to have a cookie-cutter approach, but I did want a young person to leave from the program having skills to help them have successful, healthy relationships. Focusing on mom, but having healthy relationships overall with people, and dealing with communication, boundaries, understanding what's healthy and what's unhealthy. And we talk about it in a way where you can come in and be parent A and parent a different way than parent B, but you both gain something from this program, because it's not talking about how to specifically parent, but how you can use your skill set to have a healthier relationship moving forward.
And I like that, because you're tapping into that individual person and whatever your skills are, and I'm enhancing that. So you can work with them being healthy. Because I think that is something that we miss out on, setting clear boundaries. And we don't, and we like find out about a relationship later and too late, and realize that it's not something that is actually good for us. Especially, I would say, as women. Women, we're a little bit more open, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves in a hole, and then all of a sudden we're emotionally freaking out. So, but then we don't know how to emotionally grab ourselves together and pick ourselves up to move past that. So that is great to teach at a young age, so that we don't become, really unequipped grown women who are in a place, and we're in a grown women body, but we're still in a child mind, because we have not developed certain skills.
Because if you don't learn the lesson, you will repeat it again and again and again until you get it right.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. And a lot of people say, well, I'm this age and I'm that age. Age does not mean wisdom necessarily. Age is not wisdom. But learning the skill and actually applying it, because a lot of us have a lot of skills, a lot of us have a lot of tools, but we don't apply them and we don't improve on our lives. So that's the thing. You're giving these young people a chance so that they can stay in tune with their parents and actually have a comfortable place to have this discussion. Because a lot of times we get outside in the world and find out people judge us, and we can't have that conversation, and then we become sheltered. Well, they say we become closet people. We live under all of these masks, all of these layers, because we don't feel like we can actually talk about who the real person is. We have a lot of women who are actually crying little girls on the inside, because they haven't had that opportunity to actually just put it on this table and say, hey, these are my boundaries, this is where we stop, this is what we can talk about, and this is, how I like to have a discussion, And those are things that we really need to make sure that not just the next generation, but the grown women who are caught in that situation, who didn't have those experiences, actually get there. So, what is one of the things that you see repeatedly from actually people who come to your program that it's the key thing that sometimes is the disconnect between a mother and a daughter. And I know you said communication, but what component actually causes that communication breakdown?
Well, I will say that people get conditioned in a certain way. So you do something wrong for so long that that's just kind of the way you react. And I'm always about my own personal things. So I talk about myself before I talk about everybody else. So my thing was, with my daughter, it was, I don't want to hear what you got to say. I'm your mama. That's what I said. That's what you got to do. And I would leave it there, you know. And we would have this issue where, well, she don't want to come talk to me because I just ended the conversation and told her, like, this is the rule. You don't get to say anything else. Because I was raised that way. Like, I had a mother and a grandparent who, this is the rule. Like, ain't no discussion. We're not talking about this. This ain't nothing to talk about. This is what I told you we're going to do, and we're going to do it. And she never felt comfortable coming to talk to me. And she would tell me, Mom, I don't really feel comfortable talking to you about stuff because when I come, you just say, this is the rule. So I explained to her about how I grew up with generations where that's how they parented. These were the rules, these were the expectations, and you didn't question it. I said, we can adjust it a little bit. I will compromise some with you. I will listen to what you have to say. That does not always mean that you don't still get what you want, but I will hear you out. I will not cut you off when you were telling me, well, Mom, I just want to explain. I will listen to everything you have to say, and I will listen and evaluate what you said. But then I get to make the final decision because I'm your mother. So I had to slowly change my approach on how I communicated with her so that she felt comfortable, at least, even if she knew Mama gonna still say no, Mama at least gonna hear me out. Hear what I got to say. And there were some expectations with that hearing her out. So I said, look, you're going to watch your tone when you talk to me. You're going to pay attention to the words that come out your mouth. Because if you need something from me or you want something from me and you come off disrespectfully, what are the chances that you're going to get the thing that you just wanted? Okay, no chance that you're going to get it. So pay attention to your tone and make sure that when you're talking to me, you remember that I'm your mom and I'm not your girlfriend. And I'll listen to what you have to say. And we started talking like that. And it's a progress. So I tell people, like, I do this work and I see young people all the time and I see parents all the time, and I'm doing the same thing that y'all are doing. So it's not like I have the answers and I can tell you everything. Sometimes it just helps to have that third person that's not attached to the situation to look in and see where you can make some changes. And when I come in, I hear Mom out and I hear the young person out, and I listen to their perspectives. I listen to the issues that they have together, and I find ways to kind of get them both to maybe do a little compromise and dance so that they can continue to communicate and change bad behavior. Because usually you see a behavior that child did this, Mom said this, they don't talk anymore. So now child doesn't tell Mom anything, and child is doing crazy stuff, and Mom doesn't understand why child doesn't talk anymore. And it's because they didn't feel comfortable talking, and y'all just got stuck in a cycle. So now we got to change the cycle, and you got to be uncomfortable for a while. It's really uncomfortable sometimes to do things differently. But you have to, if you want to change the behavior, you got to try different things. So I always say, just give it a try. If you do it for a couple of weeks and you still feel uncomfortable with it, then let's sit and try something else. But always trying to break a bad habit is what helps open up that line of communication and finding ways that you can show them that you were them at one time. Like in that course that I created, there's a significant point there where Mom answers questions about when she was a child's age. And it's like things about music you like, clothes you like, activities you like to do with your friends. If you had a crush, who was your crush when you were 13? And that assignment, kids love it because they get to see that Mom was a little kid too. Like, Mom did some cool stuff. And Mom gets to open up and talk about some of those things, and it opens up a dialogue there where they see that they're not so different. Like, your age is different, but some of the experiences we have mirror each other. I can sit and hear my grandmother talk about when she was a teenager. some of the things she did as a teenager, I did as a teenager. It was just a different time. The music was a little different, the clothes was a little different, but some of the same experiences. So I humanize stuff, and I show people that we're not as different as we seem to think. And mom is not foreign, even though she seems like an alien who doesn't understand you. She has some of the same experiences if you sit down long enough and talk to her.
That's a good point, the listening and the talking, and plus, like you said, changing some of those bad habits that we get so used to saying. I remember saying, I brought you in this world, I'll take you out of this world. You'd be like, yeah, I heard. You'd be like, well, just put me out my misery, and then I won't have to hear it anymore. But the thing is, you have to realize, actually, some of the great things that come out of that dialogue that you have when you can have that open discussion and not have that when you feel like you're not comfortable to talk about everything. Kind of like you're setting that tone for them to be able to communicate, not just with you, but be able to communicate in the future. Like you said, have the right tone, have the right attitude. And it's amazing if you learn that already in the house, that right tone and right attitude, that you'll be able to communicate with other people. So it's a great ground, because like you say, if you just tell them no, yes, they become puppets in the world because they never learn how to actually voice their opinions, have an opinion. You gotta kind of shut it off. And I think a lot of times you do have that generation of parent who was like, this is it, this is the rules, and then you have those people who live just so tight within those rules because they don't have that capability to do that, open up in that dialogue. And you got something, Grandma?
But I think older parents, they did the best they could with what they knew. They didn't know a whole lot, but what I have, I'm trying to pass the best that I have on to you. I'm not gonna tell you anything wrong to do. And I think kids do not want their parent to be their friend.
Oh no, we are
They don't
we are in agreement that they don't want friends. We're not trying to make friends.
No.
Yeah, because I think it becomes actually parents that become friends. Those kids actually look back and look at other people and say, man, I wish my parent had told me a little bit more, had a few little bit more rules, gave me some more assistance, gave me some more guidance.
Right.
But at the same time, oh yeah, even in this generation, we still don't have perfect parents. Even with all the tools and the skills that are available, the thing is, it's really not an excuse anymore, though. People can't just say, I'm doing the best that I can. You know, the best that I can means really the best that I want to do. I don't want to change. I don't want to be inflexible. Now, we cannot say that I'm just doing the best that I can, because it is so many things that are available that weren't available during your time as tools and skills, but that, like, a Mommy and Me course was not available. You would have never heard of a such thing as having an open dialogue then. You'd have been like, you're going to get smacked in your mouth if you say something else. Ain't no open dialogue going up in here. Ain't nothing going to be open except your ears.
Really
This is a monologue, not a dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really a generational shift. And when I think about it, because I talk to my grandmother a lot about, and she actually lives with me. One of my grandparents lives with me because she had some illness and she needed to come stay. So she parented very differently than me. And I think the shift has come, and I tell parents this too, I think the shift has come because society has shifted the way you can parent to a degree. There are laws in place now for parents. Like, there's some things that happened before that you just can't do now legally. So they've opened up, for instance, parents sometimes don't know this. A 14-year-old can go to the doctor and say, I don't want mom to know my medical history. And guess what, mom? You got to pay the bill, but they don't have to tell you the 14-year-old's medical history. That's a law. So, like, things have shifted so much as a society that we have to find creative ways to have our kids be comfortable with opening up to us so we can help them be equipped with the skills for the issues they're going to face. For instance, a 14-year-old can get pregnant, and I don't want my mom to know, you know?
Yeah.
And you can persuade, but there are laws in place now that make it difficult to parent as we used to. So you have to figure out how to go with the change in time. Kids now are very vocal, and I think there has been a shift in being, there was a time, I will tell you, when I was a little girl, when you were seen and not heard. That's it.
Yeah.
Hi, how you doing? Now grown folks are talking and you go away.
Yeah.
Like you don't stick around here for this conversation, just don't got nothing to do with you. I don't see that anymore. Teenagers sit with mom and grandma and aunties and talk with them and put their 2 cents in. And so as times are changing, it's like parenting is changing and evolving. And I don't see a wrong or a right way to it. Like the way my grandmother parented, she had 5 kids who never went to jail, who all have good, upstanding citizens with good qualities. So something she did worked, okay? So I don't discount her approach. And, you know, my mom, even though we had struggles when she was a teen mother, she has a daughter that's getting her PhD, my twin sister. I have a master's, and my brother's doing really well. So something they did worked. It's collectively just understanding that there's a shift in society, and so we have to shift with them. And what can we do to best equip our young people during this shift? Because it's deeper than just parents now parenting. Like there are laws that affect parents now. There are things your kids can go out here and do in these streets, and you're held accountable for it. So I really like to tell parents, like, it's a little bit deeper now with just understanding how you can be affected with your kids, whatever your kid is doing.
Yeah, it's key to definitely be on top of the laws. And I like like you said, there's a shift, there's a transition. There's a place that we just have to equip ourselves, and we cannot say, okay, we don't know, because the law will come after you, because just saying I don't know will not actually benefit you. So you have to take advantage of knowing what is going on in your child's life, because like you say, it will affect you. So learn now about the laws, being open to your kids and taking that shift in understanding. But kids have to realize, like you said, they only putting in 2 cents in the conversation.
That's my thing.
They're
It's a $20 game. 2 cents does not count.
So, and that's why I say, so if they realize that their 2 cents is being put into the conversation, they do have more respect, they have understanding, and they can possibly be more open-eared to listen if they're allowed to at least put some pennies in the conversation. So that's for everybody. I know we've lived through that, to be seen, not heard, and a lot of times, but the thing is, a lot of times that seen and not heard transitions into putting them to the point where when it's something very crucial that they want to talk about, they don't know how to bring it up, they don't know how to have this conversation, because everything is saying, don't speak, don't speak. And they're acting out in other ways to get that attention. And unfortunately in our society, the kids are acting out, either they're having other kids, they're doing violence against other kids, they losing their mind. We have a generation we just losing in other ways. We losing them in social media, we losing them to video games, we losing them to other things that are teaching and pouring into them, who actually take the time to listen and find out what their love, what their passions are. We losing our kids to gangs, even though y'all want to pretend, because we live in a techie society, we don't have gangs anymore. But the thing is, if we don't get our relationship together as that mother and daughter, we will lose that next generation coming about. And as I said, whether you are that physical blood parent or you are that stand-in surrogate, there is a time that we have to step in, and actually sometimes it means we got to step back of just saying I'm an adult and actually be there to be a listening vessel so we can actually help. So that's key into getting to having that best relationship. And I say that because we have a lot of women who get into relationships with men because they need somebody to guide them, they need somebody to lead them because they are lost. And it has nothing to do with, because it's a healthy relationship. So we are setting up our young girls to be dependent on someone else. All they got to do is give them a little bit of attention and listen to them and give them what did not happen at home within that village. So we need to get our village concept back together, you all. We've lost the village because I'm not supposed to say nothing to your child and you're not supposed to say nothing to my child, and we're not supposed to have this dialogue. My thing is, baby, you can come sit on my porch, we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to call your mama, and we're going to all still do that old school thing. You walk down my street, you belong to me still. You've ever drink a glass of water at my house, you belong to me. So those are the things all my kids' friends know, they belong to me. Don't do nothing in my house that you don't want me to tell your mama about now. So
Yep.
that's why I said we have to get back to that same village approach, that you have the open door, they're comfortable with communicating with you about whatever goes on. So I want you to tell us where we can get in contact with you so that the listeners can learn more about the Mommy and Me program, so we can evolve into the next generation and actually transition and change.
Well, we have a website that you can go to. It's momandmecourse.com. So you just type in momandmecourse.com. If you are trying to reach me, I'm on all social media platforms by my name, and I have one of those names, so I'm going to spell it. It's Danielle. Last name is Boose. So if you search Danielle Boose, you know that beautiful Google we were talking about? If you Google Danielle Boose, I come up. I'm the only person. I own the rights to my name. You can always find me on everything. And I answer questions. So if you are concerned about something, if it's not even related to the Mom and Me course, but you need resources, I help people find resources. For parenting, for anything, you need mental health support, you reach out to me, I'll make sure that I send you to a resource that can benefit you if I'm not able to help you.
Well, Danielle, we are so happy, and I'm going to say we are happy that you're helping us achieve greatness so we can have healthy relationships. I want you all to always reference back to those scriptures. That's Proverbs 1:8 and Proverbs 6:20. Don't forsake your mother's teachings. There was a blessing in those teachings. We always, sometimes we don't want to remember what we learned, but there were some great blessings in those teachings. But also, as a parent, go back to Deuteronomy 4:9. Don't forget what you learned, and you're supposed to teach it to the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. There is always a pouring into, they say like it's a seed, and you show from your fruit. So don't embarrass your roots and act like you don't remember where you came from. So do the right thing. And the thing is, even if it's not, you don't have a physical parent, remember that God is your parent. He is your mother and your father in heaven. So don't embarrass your heavenly father and mother, because you remember we are made in his image. So here at the Relationship Service Station, we always about getting your relationship right with God, getting your relationship right with yourself, and definitely getting your relationship right with others. So we have a few songs we're going to drop into, and I want to thank you all for joining us here at the Relationship Hour. Always, you can connect with us at 108praise.com. I am your master relationship mechanic, so you can always ask me any questions that you have, because I don't want you to be broke down in your relationship highway. So thank you, Miss Danielle. I am so glad, and I want you all to definitely jump over, for you all who have daughters, and go to the Mommy and Me course so you all can be equipped with the skills that society needs us to have so that we can empower our teenagers to be powerful instead of be dependencies. So
Thank you, Miss Danielle.
we are going
Thanks
to.
for having me.
Hey, thank you. We're going to drop into our songs. We actually cut one off. We're going to go to Josh Gordon, You Raised Me Up. And then I like Celine Dion is my personal favorite singer. And I know that it's not gospel, spiritual, but it's actually inspirational. So we open up with her in a mother's prayer. And we're closing with her and call a song called Mama. And I'll actually tell y'all a little secret. My daughter is actually named Celine. I loved her so much. And my daughter can actually sing, but she won't sing for nobody. I hear her sing in the morning. To me personally, she sings better than Celine Dion. And actually, she's named Celine Deborah, so she has after my own mother. So she has a name and a torch and a little bit of attitude to carry with her too. On top of that, so
She's fierce.
So we will go into those songs, and I will enjoy hearing from you all from the week, so y'all can reach me at the Relationship Service Station, or you can join us back here at the Relationship Hour every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So thank you, Danielle, for helping us achieve greatness in our relationships.
Thank you for having me again. Y'all have a blessed night.
You
Do the
too.
same.